Hi, I'm Chris.
Hi, I'm Robert.
And we're the Film Flamers.
It's November. This is the middle of November, and it's well into the holiday shopping season. Black Friday is just around the corner. If you hadn't started your Christmas present buying, you need to get started right now. And what better way to celebrate this time of year when consumerism is king than by going over our top 10 cursed objects.
And hopefully you don't buy a cursed object for your loved ones.
Unless they're a huge horror fan, it's the perfect thing to buy for them.
That's true.
Right. So for this list, we decided to talk about things that are either cursed by some unseen force, possibly possessed by a person or demon, and they either act on their own or they, push the story forward in their own way, just being the cursed object that they are.
That's true.
So who went first last time, Chris?
I think you did, because I went first the first time, you went the second time, now it's my turn.
I think so too. So why don't you start with your number 10?
Let me pull it up. My number 10 is Everything in the Basement and Cabin in the Woods. I'm kind of cheating a little bit here. I know they ended up picking up the diary, with the husband bulge.
Oh my God, you stole my line.
And what a line to steal. But that's everything in everything in there is basically an homage to another horror movie. For every other cursed object in every other horror movie, or a symbol of something else in a horror movie. You've got the Hellraiser puzzle box in there. You've got like lockets and mannequins and everything you can think of, dolls. I mean,
a conch shell.
A conch shell. Everything's in there, and it had to be on my list just because of that.
Now, I would call you out in saying that, that's not really, pinpointing an object, right? But I think that half the things that we're going to talk about on our list moving forward is probably in that basement somewhere. Mm-hmm. If you could take the time to, freeze frame an image, you could probably pick out just about everything that we're going to be talking about moving forward. So I'm going to give it to you. Okay. My number 10 is, it's a tire. It's the tire from the movie Rubber.
I've never seen that.
My father watched this movie randomly at 4 o'clock in the morning one day when he was getting ready for work. It was several years ago. I think this came out in 2015, something like that. And he called me that day and he was like, "Have you seen this movie about this tire that kills people?" And I was just like, "What?"
Excuse me?
Yeah. So I had to go find it, and I watched it shortly after that. And literally, this is just a tire that discovers that it's sentient and can operate on its own. And then it discovers that it has the ability to make things explode. Mm-hmm. And it just rolls around blowing shit up. And I had to put it on the list because it's so fucking ridiculous. The movie itself is very avant-garde and silly, but seeing a tire making a bunny explode is well worth it.
I'm ordering pizza. Oh, God.
I was like, well, either he's not paying attention to me or...
I'm sorry. I forgot.
That's okay. It's good. It's good bloopers. What are you ordering?
The same thing we got last 2 times.
Okay, good.
Items in this order are no longer available.
Ooh, I don't think they have that cheesy crust pizza anymore. I don't know why I'm talking directly in the microphone when I tell you that.
ASMR. If you're lucky, later we'll chew our pizza until
I'm going to chew to you later.
I'm just going to stop this. And we're back. Oh, shit. I need my phone still.
Yeah, you do.
My number 9 is VHS Tape from The Ring. Yep, it is the VHS tape that, of course, you see Samara on, and she crawls through the TV and kills you. But it's just so iconic at this point, from Ringu to The Ring to The Ring 2. It's in pop culture now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, this is not on my list, but now that you said that, I think that that's a good object because not only is the tape itself cursed, right? But it passes the curse onto the person who watches it. So the person itself becomes a cursed object.
And you can also make a copy of it, right?
Right. Although I think that's how you're supposed to get rid of the curse, is to make a copy so that even more people get cursed, right?
That's true. And unless she makes the jump to DVD or Blu-ray, I think she's done.
Oh, wait, you can't copy those?
Nope. Well,
Oh.
I mean, not most people.
I mean, pirates are.
Well, I mean, no one has a VHS player anymore. Well, at least most people don't, I don't think.
God, I need one. I still have VHS tapes.
Me too.
Just not cursed ones.
Yeah.
Well, they may be cursed.
What's your number 9?
My number 9 is the laundry folding machine from the movie The Mangler.
Haven't seen that one either.
Okay, this is based on a Stephen King short story about a possessed laundry folding machine that kills people.
Laundry folding machine.
That's right. So it's like in a factory where they do laundry and you stick the sheet in there and it folds it up all nice and neat, right? The thing is that this machine sort of, I mean, I don't know I can't remember what it's cursed by, either a person or a demon or something. And, it like ends up folding people as well. And they have to bring people in to make it not cursed anymore.
Is it that funny, like in the movie?
Well, I mean, like in true Stephen King fashion, he's just going to pick an inanimate object and be like, oh, it's an evil laundry folding machine or something, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he does what he does, and we all end up liking it.
My number 8 is the 1958 Plymouth Fury from Christine.
So, with another Stephen King.
Yeah, that's true. And, so, I mean, it follows you. It kills you. It runs you over. It changes your oil. You can't escape, Christine.
It drives itself.
Yeah.
I like that movie a lot, actually. It's John Carpenter, right? He made that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good classic 80s choice.
Yeah. It had to be on the list. It's too iconic.
I debated back and forth. I think I told you that I was still working on my list when we were planning to record this, and I was like, I may stick something in there and take something off, and that was the one I was going to stick in. Your
list so far seems kind of abstract, not the obvious choices.
Well, I mean, I'm going for like an object, I can't even say that because it's going to change later on, so I'm just going to shut the fuck up and keep going. So, yeah, my number 8 is the Dybbuk box from the movie The Possession.
Never seen it either.
Oh my God, I have got to get you in front of a fucking television. So The Possession is this movie. It was made about, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, about a girl whose parents are divorced and she's spending the weekend with her father, whom she normally doesn't spend that much time with. And they go to this garage sale and she becomes enamored of this large box. And the box itself is possessed by the Dybbuk, which is sort of a Jewish demon.
So is this like a cardboard box, or are we talking
it's like an ornate wooden box?
Okay, it's not
and you would think
Tupperware?
it'd be like small, like a little. Well, it makes the burp sound when you open it. Well, we should write that movie though. Oh my God, it's the cursed Tupperware.
When you open it, it makes a brown note.
I don't know. I don't know why my food gets spoiled when I put this in this container. It's a demon. At any rate, for people who like watching small girls get possessed by inanimate objects, I mean, like, The Possession's a good way to go. And also, it's a really good, like, journey into, like, Jewish mysticism that we just don't get to see very often in film.
My number 7 is the television from Poltergeist. And I wouldn't normally consider this an object, but I mean, the whole movie is bookended by this television, or not this television, but basically any television. Carol Ann, the whole like poltergeist haunting kind of like starts with Carol Ann like putting her hands up to the TV at the beginning in the living room, and then later in the bedroom, and that's how the whole thing starts. She basically opens the gateway, and they kind of go through whether she meant to or not, or had any part in it. And then later, at the very end, as the credits are rolling, they're going to their house has been swallowed by everything going
itself,
on, literally. And he pushes the dad pushes out the TV from the door out of the hotel, like they literally pushes the hotel TV out the door, and they just close the door again. And so it's bookended by this concept of that's how you get him in, that's how you get haunted, that's how you let the poltergeist in, is this TV.
And see, I thought about putting this on my list, and I thought, well, is that TV actually cursed or possessed? And I decided that it wasn't. I thought that it was just a conduit to which she could speak to her family from the other side.
That's fair.
I didn't quite think that TV itself was doing anything.
Because it goes both ways, right? Like they come from the TV, but they're also communicating to their daughter. And so it's almost like a two-way circuit in that sense. And so it really has that presence in the entire movie.
It is true, because the hand comes out of the TV, that sort of like ghostly whisper hand that comes out when she first touches it. So
the whole tendril of all of the ghosts actually go into the wall behind them.
Oh, yeah.
And during an earthquake, it causes an earthquake and everything. So it's all happening out of the TV.
Avoid the idiot box, everybody. Except for you. Watch more horror movies on the TV. My number 7 was Trucks or Machines from the movie Maximum Overdrive.
Never seen it.
Jesus Christ. It's Stephen King again. So, I mean, just like we talked about, he can pick an inanimate object and make it evil. And in this movie, a comet has circled the Earth. And machines start to act on their own. It could be anything from toasters to lawnmowers to radios or hairdryers. But the biggest villain in this movie are these big rig trucks that sort of circle these survivors, and they're constantly moving around the truck stop that they're at, for they just can't escape.
Do you think like the same demonic mechanic was like the one that created Christine, or
possibly? I mean, I'm sure that he has some sort of ultimate plan for all his work. But I like this movie because it has Emilio Estevez in it, like giving his best like gruff performance, and the girl who does the voice of Lisa in The Simpsons is in it too. You should see her face, Yeardley Smith, right? And she's got that same Lisa voice, and she's like "Carrot" the whole time. And meanwhile, I mean, like guns are shooting themselves and trucks are driving around, and it's just a big fucking hilarious fun mess.
My number 6 is The Mirror from Oculus. I love this movie, and I'm probably like the only person on earth that does. I know it's well respected and a lot of people really liked it, but just like no one's excited about it like I am for some reason. I love the idea of this mirror that you just like, that like just psychologically just takes you over. It can make you stand still and like, and basically be catatonic, but thinking that you're still doing things, and it makes you do things, and it makes you think you're doing things you're not doing. I mean, it has such power, and it literally just cannot be harmed because it just prevents you from harming it. It'll trick you into harming yourself before you can harm it. And it just absorbs these souls from everyone it ends up killing. And to me, it's like one of the most effective cursed objects and movie monsters in a way, in almost any contemporary horror film.
I mean, I've seen this movie. I like it very much. I'm not sure I like it as much as you do, but I thought that it was well made and very well acted. I always like it when I can pick out somebody from Battlestar Galactica. You know what I mean? And so, and she was scary in that movie.
Yep.
And I like the idea of like a familial horror aspect to that film. And I mean, the movie was great. The Mirror is a good cursed object. It's a good choice.
Mm-hmm. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is The Lamp from Amityville Horror 4, The Evil Escapes.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah. I'm going to forgive you this one, really, because I don't think a lot of people have seen this movie.
I usually don't watch part 4s.
Well, I can't say that by and large they're bad, because I enjoy Halloween 4. But this movie was a made-for-TV movie that came out in like 1988, and it stars Patty Duke. So,
wow.
Yeah. And there's some continuity issues, because I think we all remember from Amityville 3 when the house is destroyed completely, and yet it's still standing in Amityville 4. And there's a yard sale, and there's a possessed lamp that came from the house, and that lamp has traveled to California and starts afresh. And this lamp also does things with machines and electronics that we've seen in Maximum Overdrive, where once it's plugged into the wall, it can affect
what
like
is
the
your
toaster
deal with?
and
You're just
whatnot.
picking your list out of this junkyard.
No, I mean, like, obviously, if I were going shopping, I would go to Horace Junkyard, and I'd be like, I'll take that toaster right there, and it would kill me.
That's not a brave little toaster.
This movie is pure camp. I mean, like, every line is delivered in this, like, tongue-in-cheek way. And I can only imagine that they thought they were making some sort of masterpiece, right? It's fun to watch. It makes zero sense whatsoever. And it's the fucking ugliest lamp in the history of time. I'll show you as soon as we're done recording what it looks like, and I'm sure you agree.
My number 5, and actually, okay, we made these lists separately. But so this is probably never going to happen again, and certainly hasn't happened yet. But we have the same number 5, which is the collective dolls. So like Chucky, Annabelle, the clown from Poltergeist, all of these cursed or pseudo-cursed objects, we wanted to give a place on our list, because it's like, do we put Chucky before Annabelle? Or like, do they deserve to be like, I don't want to fill my list with dolls. Right?
Exactly. I mean, because you could really just have a whole top 10 list of like evil dolls.
Yeah, and
right?
we almost did, but
Yeah.
we wanted to widen it out because there's so many other things.
And so, I mean, like, each of these dolls has something to offer in their own right as far as, like, horror movies go. And I'm sure that you've all listened to our previous episode this November where we talked about Annabelle. And maybe someday we'll save this conversation a little bit more and do a dolls top 10. Because I'm not really quite ready to say who's better, Chucky or Annabelle. In fact, I mean, if they want to make a Chucky versus Annabelle movie, I'd probably pay to see it.
Yeah, and we're kind of using the word cursed kind of loosely here a little bit because, I mean, obviously a lot of this has to do with possession.
Yeah.
but we're just not that geeky to make that distinction. So
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, anyway.
We can grow and change as geeks.
Wait for my number one. Just wait. I guess I'm going to have to move on to my number 4.
Go ahead.
Which is the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, or the Book of the Dead from the Evil Dead franchise. And it makes its appearance in pretty much every single Evil Dead movie from the start. And I don't actually think they call it the Necronomicon Ex Mortis until, like, Army of Darkness, probably. I think they just call it, like, the Book of the Dead.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, because there's no table of contents. They're like, it's the Necronomicon.
But it's like the wizard druids or whatever from, like, the ancient past or whatever.
Right, yeah.
The medieval past that he goes back in time to. And they're
With
like, it's the
his
Necronomicon Ex Mortis. And I didn't mean to do a...
And they're like, I don't think
voice.
I've read that. Oh, you mean the Book of the Dead?
Yeah, but it's it's scary. It's made of human flesh. They take it more or less seriously depending on the film you watch in this series. And of course, in Army of Darkness, it actually like bites his fingers and it's like flying around and it's like doing, it's pages. It's great.
Well, and that book is what starts the entire process of these movies. They have to read from it in order to have things happen.
And right? I am the proud owner of the DVD special edition with the flesh-like cover of the DVD that used to, when you punch its eyeball, it would scream at you.
I know, because I have touched it many, many times in his home and just made it scream. It probably doesn't scream anymore because I touched it too much.
I need to. I wonder if I could open it up and like replace the watch battery, or whatever it is. I'm assuming.
God, I hope so. Because it will give me joy for hours and hours and hours. My number 4 is going way, way back. It's The Monkey's Paw. This started out as a horror short story and has been featured in movies of its own, and even the paw itself has shown up like in segments and things like that. Essentially, it's a severed monkey's hand that somebody buys in Morocco that grants wishes.
Never seen it.
Well, have you read it?
No.
Never read it. I'm going to educate you. So you have, how many fingers are on a fucking monkey's hand? Like 4? I don't know, 5? And every time you make a wish, the finger like pulls itself down in some hideous motion and you get your wish granted. However, there's a caveat when everyone buys the monkey's paw that your wish is going to have some evil ramifications and things start to get pretty fucked up really fucking quick every time someone makes a wish in the monkey's paw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Resulting
in zombies.
I've heard of this movie, and 1948. I need to see
great.
it. Yeah. My number 3 is the puzzle box from Hellraiser, otherwise known as the Lament Configuration. And it takes, it's in every Hellraiser movie in some shape, way, or form. I mean, even going to its inception, and they even make like a huge version of it, like a building in one of the sequels. It's really cool. I want a prop. I still have not found, I want one that kind of opens up. I need to find one. And if I can, I'll put it in the show notes so that everyone can get their copy of the Lament Configuration.
And I don't want to stop you in your conversation, but let's put a moratorium on that, because I have a sneaking suspicion we'll be talking about it again.
Oh, okay. So what's your number 3?
My number 3 are wax statues from the movie Waxwork.
Haven't seen it.
Oh my fucking God, really with this one. Waxwork is a late 80s movie about, wax statues. These group of kids stumble upon this waxwork in their town and they go for a midnight showing. And the owner of the waxwork will invite you in for a closer look. But when you step into the display, you're transported back into the story that waxwork is supposed to be representing, right? And I wouldn't say that these statues themselves are cursed or possessed. However, every installation has with it a collection of horror history that is possessed or cursed that makes the objects come to life. So like there's a vampire and it would be like a jewel that's in his cape, or there's a werewolf sequence that happens to be like the silver bullet that's in it. And it's just that one little cursed object that they need in order to make these things happen. Oh, and if you go into the wax installation and you die, you become part of the thing.
Oh,
it's it's a good movie in a sense that
what is like Wax House? Is that what I saw?
Like the House of Wax?
Hilton? Yeah, House of Wax.
There's a Vincent Price version of that, but he's like,
it was gonna be.
He's like killing people and then like coating them in wax. This is like actual wax figures that come to life. It's different.
Well, my number 2 is none other than the Ark of the Covenant from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, it's not necessarily horror, but that movie does have a lot of horror elements. And that scene where they open up the Ark of the Covenant and it melts everyone's faces off, and you see like grotesque angels or whatever the hell they are, avenging ghosts, spirits, is very horror movie. It's right up there with one of the most classic like horror scenes, even though it's not technically a horror movie. And it's so iconic that, I mean, the music's working for it, the people's faces melting off is working for it. It's just such an iconic scene, like, and the look of the Covenant itself. I mean, it's just great, and it's because it ties into like real world history, right? Yeah. And so it's a legendary object. Yeah. So
now, normally I would sit here and say that's not horror related, even though, I mean, I know that there's some like horror adjacent things, but I'm going to share a deep dark secret with everybody. I am 39 years old and I have been watching movies almost the entirety of that time, and my good friend Chris just showed me the Raiders of the Lost Ark this year in 2018.
He had never seen it.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to give you that because that movie was pretty scary. So
yeah. What's your number 2?
My number 2 that you've already talked about is The Diary from Cabin in the Woods.
Never seen it.
It's not May. I mean, I wanted to pick something out of that basement because I love this movie very much.
Yes.
And I mean, I think that eventually we're probably going to be having a full episode on this one, so I'm not going to go way too much into it. I'm just going to say that The Diary is good. I think that the passages they read from it throughout the movie after they discover it are great. And I'm just going to leave you all with Husband Bulge because who doesn't like that?
So do you want to start with your number 1 since my number 1's so much better, or?
Only because that we've already discussed it. I'm going to go ahead and just give my number 1 now because it is the Lament Configuration from Hellraiser, the puzzle box. This is the best cursed object in a horror movie, period. It brings out some of the most fantastic, fucked up villains. And the people who seek out this box on purpose are some of the most fucked up human beings.
The Cenobites, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, Clive Barker is a nasty man, apparently, and he just makes all this shit that we get to look at. This movie is simultaneously entertaining and very hard to watch for me. There's like chains coming out of that box, it's pulling flesh off, and like all you have to do is just like turn it like some crazy fucked up Rubik's Cube, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just fantastic. I mean, there can't be a more cursed object than something that summons demons from hell.
That's true. And it will transport you to hell.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. My number 1 are soul jars.
What? Soul Jam? The Bugs Bunny movie?
I think that's Space Jam.
Oh. Well, I haven't seen it.
Soul jars, like all of the horcruxes from, horcruxes, not horcrux.
Is it horcrux?
Is it horcruxes? Horcruxes?
Horcruxes.
All of the horcruxes from the Harry Potter, like all of the stuff that Voldemort put his soul into. And we see this again and again. It's like, goes way back to like Norse legend where, or other myths where like the only place you can hurt was someone's pinky, or like they put their soul into, the statue or something like that.
Okay.
But you see it like Child's Play. He was one of our dolls, but technically he is a soul jar.
That's right, he's holding his soul.
He saved himself from being killed by putting his soul into a child's doll, right? Mm-hmm. We have a lot more like the Crow, with the crows, Candyman, with the mirror, Black Cauldron, Anastasia, Dragon Slayer, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dragonheart, with the heart or whatever of the dragon.
So everything.
And most famously, the One Ring from Lord of the Rings.
Whose soul was in that?
Sauron.
Oh, I have seen it, but only the one time, like a normal person.
Anyway, yeah, soul jars. So basically anytime a villain is basically unkillable or tries to save his own life, his or her, and puts their soul or part of their power or whatever, their essence, into an inanimate object, or not always an inanimate, like Voldemort with Nagini, the snake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or Harry Potter was basically a Horcrux. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I do like Harry Potter. I remember a couple years ago during the presidential primaries and election season, and our fabulous ex-governor Rick Perry was running for office, and I posted on Facebook, and I was like, if I could just find Rick Perry's horcruxes, I know I could destroy him. So clearly I knew what a soul jam was. Clearly.
I think it's Santorum that has the soul jam.
Santorum. We can go on and on about that too.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one thing, Chris. If you're going to put
jar
your
of Santorum.
Well, I guess that answers my question. I was going to say, if you could put your soul into an object, I guess to be your horcrux, would it be a jar of Santorum or something else? What would you pick?
Oh my gosh. Probably do something very, I'd want to put it maybe into like a mountain or something.
Something that's huge and
well, you're not going to lose it. You're not going to drop it into some crevasse or something.
Where is my soul mountain?
So if I have a golem or whatever that's going after my, my soul jar, at least it won't be like my precious with a ring. It'll be like crawling around on a mountain.
I think I want to put my soul into something that's going to do the most damage when I get pissed off. So it had to be some sort of machine, I guess. I'm going to go with the lamp because why fucking not? Well, I think that brings us to the end of our...
Nope.
Oh, God.
I have a special mission.
Okay.
My special mention is, of course, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Again?
Well, we've got the ventriloquist doll, various weapons, statues, boxes, talismans. I mean, they've done it all. There's so many cursed objects. I mean, on the one-offs and even in the ARC episodes, you just cannot, not mention Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I think everything in that fucking
and
show
I'm going to make this
work.
I'm going to make this work for every top 10 we do. Somehow.
Okay, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do it too. How about that?
Buffy?
I do like Buffy, but no. I mean, everything that we've talked about in this particular list, and past lists too, I should have thought about this sooner, but you always caught me by surprise with your special mention, is I'm going to talk about The Simpsons for a minute. And, every time they do a Treehouse of Horror, they throw some of these things in there, and there's so many cursed objects in that. Like the evil Krusty doll, or they have a monkey's paw themselves in one episode. So, I'm going to fight you, Simpsons to Buffy, every time. That's right. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, there was a mummy's hand in Buffy, I think.
Was there? Chirp, chirp, chirp. Yeah, I'm sure there was.
Yeah, I think they couldn't let it go of the hand or something.
Well, there was a mummy that came to life and, was in love with Xander, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Incan Girl or whatever.
Yeah, little Incan Mummy Girl.
Yeah, I think that was the actual title of that show.
Yeah, it was a tablet. The cursed object was a tablet that gets broken by the kid, and
that's right.
Something. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, that was our top 10-ish cursed objects.
We have a hard time being finite.
Let us know what your favorite cursed object is from any movie.
That's right. Feel free to agree with us.
Or disagree.
Or that. And share with us on social media what you think about these lists. Add to it, detract from it. Give us some ideas for future top 10 lists. Yeah. As always, you can find us on Facebook or Twitter at The Film Flamers, or visit our website at filmflamers.com. If you can't do any of those things, you could always email us. And what's our email address, Chris?
It's tiredqueens@filmflamers.com.
And I am tired, and I have some more holiday shopping to do, and I have to go find that cursed junkyard. Guys, the top 10 list used to be for Patreon subscribers, but we loved it so much that we're going to share it with you guys every single month.
But we still have all this stuff on Patreon. Bonus content like our Brightest Flame Awards, our sequel ideas, hot takes, and so much more. We've got hours of bonus content on our Patreon page. So check it out, patreon.com/thefilmflamers.
That's right, and we're always very thankful for all the support.
Speaking of thankful, we're actually thankful for a specific podcast that we've been listening to called Gayish. Here's their promo.
Hey, do you like sharing memes on the internet to pretend like you're a good person?
No, but I like Cher.
What's Cher?
I don't know. You said you like sharing. And
Cher the singer!
Yeah.
Well, if I could turn back time, I would have started Gayish sooner. It's the podcast that talks about gay stereotypes and has wonderful transitions.
And our dynamic is just totally natural and
in sync.
Did we say iTunes and Google Play Store?
No.
You can listen to us on iTunes or the Google Play Store or those other places.
Bye, bye, bye.
Gayish has a very specific kind of edutainment. Just in the last couple of weeks, I've learned way more about like Freddie Mercury, gay taxonomy, PrEP, history, and a whole lot more. Plus, they're half in the bag while they're recording, so that's always fun. Check them out.
Hey, they're great. Well, thank you for listening, and until next time, sweet dreams. You're sounding gayer now.
That's true.